All right, so today I'm going to show you how to fly in X4. And flying is a pretty important part of the game. It's, after all, a space flight game, uh, first and foremost. Um, we'll go over the controls just a little bit first. Just make that a little quieter for myself. There we go. So depending on which controller you're using, I use a joystick personally, joystick and throttle. Um, you could use a controller, but my old man thumbs were never weaned on these tiny little sticks. So I know a lot of the young kids out there these days, they can type 100 words a minute on their phones and they can use controllers and pretty much outfly anybody. They're very accurate, but the range of motion on these little sticks is really, really small. I prefer a full-size joystick so I can use my whole hand, and that's just how I am. I don't like keyboard and mouse because generally speaking, when you fly with the mouse, you're just flying towards your mouse pointer and you just drag the mouse across the screen and it just flies towards that mouse. And you're not going to do very good in combat probably using that, especially without flight assist. And I'll try to cover that in a bit. So under controls, you have your invert axes. And this is important to get right. So if you're setting up your joystick and you find that it's you're pushing it in one direction and it's going the opposite direction you think it should, just go in here and tick the appropriate setting to either inverted or normal, depending on what it is. So if it's normal and you think it's wrong, just tick inverted and it'll be corrected. You can go into manage controllers and joysticks. Make sure that your stick shows up under here. And I have two. Now, one thing that X4 does that is a little bit annoying is if you start the game and while the game is loading, even right away, you plug in your joystick, it's not going to show up here on this list. It pretty much reads your active controllers when the game is launched, like right away. So you won't be able to fly. You have to have the joysticks plugged in prior to launching the game. Let's see. I don't use adaptive steering. That's kind of like where some of the ships behave differently than others. Like your large ships, generally you don't roll with large ships, although you can. But if you're pulling the stick to the left and you want your capital ship to yaw to the left rather than roll to the left, you might want to use adaptive steering. I don't use it because I want all my ships to behave the same way. Let's go into controls just a little bit here. So you can see that I've got primary steering axis, that is yaw, left, right. That would be my well, that's very interesting. Yeah, that would be my right stick twist. Um, X-axis would be like your bank roll. Up and down is your pitch. Strafe, left, right, up, down would be like if this was your ship and you're going up, down, left, right without banking your ship in any direction and just keeping it steady. That's strafing. And strafing is really, really important in a spaceflight game, not so much in real life flight simulators because real planes can't strafe. So you get your throttle, you get a whole bunch of other controls. There's a lot of controls here in X4. It's pretty comprehensive. There's only a few things I wish it could do that it doesn't. One of the things is to be able to target at whatever's aiming your reticle. I really, really, really wish they'd fix that by allowing. You see how it says target object here? Target object is basically set the closest object as your new target. Well, for me, that's useless. I don't need that. Closest object might be behind me. I want what's in front of me, what I'm aiming the ship at, to be targeted. I wish there was a way to target that. There isn't. So in those cases, you actually have to take your hand off the stick and use your mouse, click on the thing on your screen, and then it'll be selected as a target, and then you get your information and you go back to the stick and carry on flying. All right, let's get into the game. So I am flying the Morea, which is a, hang on. It's kind of this sexy little fighter here.
Agent, you still haven't met with the Antigone contact? What's going on?
Boy, she's impatient, isn't she? You know, these missions are supposed to have no time limit. Like, look at this one. Yeah. Time left. Infinite. Oh, don't nag me. And that little beep there, let me just make sure. Ooh. Excuse me for just one moment while I just make sure everything's okay. I don't know. I'm sure my station can handle that. I'm not worried. Anyways, back to this. So this is the this is my fighter. Now, view modes: F1 normal view, F2 external view, F2 again external view in a way that you can move around, which is nice. I don't use the first one. You can rotate around. It's really nice. You can use plus and minus on your keypad to zoom in and out. Sadly, the game does not let you use the mouse to rotate around your view around the ship, which would be, you know, make too much sense, I guess, like you can with everything else. So this is my little ship, and let's get to flying. So we're hanging out by my station. This is the headquarters. And you can build your own headquarters however you like. First thing to do is to notice that I can pitch. So pitching up and down with the stick, there's roll left and right. So you should have that bound to your stick. There's yaw, which is left and right again, that direction. Notice that I'm changing the direction I'm facing with yaw. I'm not changing my position in space. Now, those are the three axes that are on my right hand. Now, with these controls, it's called 6DOF, which means 6 degrees of freedom. And that means that you have 6 different axes that you are using to fly simultaneously. So you're going to get it in your head that you need to think in terms
of research, and the results are astounding.
Thanks, Bozo. You're going to have to get in your head that you're moving in 3D space using 6 axes. So this is very more or less like a plane, you know, a plane on Earth. I'm banking, you know, I'm pitching up and down, and I'm yawing. This is like a rudder, but even though rudders don't behave this way. Now, there's throttle, which is forward and backwards. So I'm going forward, or I'm going backwards. And you can see right here is my speed. So this is my speed indicator, the little white arrow. If I move the throttle forward, I can move it all the way forward. You can see that the actual speed that I'm going is this little line here, or this number. So I can go full throttle forward while I'm going top speed backwards, just like that. But it takes the speed a little while to catch up. And that's that's based on your engines and how heavy your ship is and things like that. This little white line here is your hull. I have a little damage. Don't worry about it. The blue line is your shields. That's going to stay full unless you're getting shot at. So throttle forward. Let's just kind of go close to part of the station here, just because I want to show you strafing. Okay, so I'm fully stopped. Now, again, if I'm moving on the right-hand stick, you can see that I'm basically staying in one position relative to the station. My ship is not moving. It's changing the direction it's facing. It is not moving. On the left hand, I have three other degrees of freedom that actually move the ship. Forward and backward, which looks like that. I've got left and right, which is strafing. And I've got up and down. And on my stick, it's a little hard to use up and down without also using the throttle forward and backwards. But I'm kind of trying. Now, your thruster power isn't going to be nearly as high in the strafing as it is in your main engines. And that's pretty standard in space games, although with X4 it's a little bit worse than, say, Elite Dangerous, where the strafing is a lot more powerful, a lot more responsive. That makes What that means basically is that if you're going fast forward and then you start strafing, you're not going to notice much movement at all in your strafing directions. The time that you notice the strafing the most is when you're going pretty slow like this. I'm stopped, or I'm going really, and you can see that the strafing is, it's significant, but it's. I mean, look at that. I'm only moving a little ways. So that is pretty much your 6 degrees of freedom. Now, there's a whole other world of flying called flight assist off. And what flight assist is something that your ship's computers do to make space flight feel like atmospheric flight. Because planes, if you're changing the direction that you're facing in a real plane in air, you're going to be changing the direction you're traveling as well. So if I'm traveling this direction and I turn to the left, I'm going to be traveling in that direction now. We're used to that on Earth, especially in cars. You steer left, now you're facing a different direction and you're traveling a different direction. In space, that's not how it works because there's no air, there's nothing for your ship to grip onto, there's no traction. So flight assist is like your ship's computer trying to make it feel more natural to you. So flight assist is on by default. And if I go forward and don't touch my throttle, I'm just kind of going forward slowly, and I change which direction I'm facing like this, notice that I am now traveling in a new direction. And as I fly around, I continue to go in new directions all the time. And it's very, very intuitive. It feels natural. It feels much like a real plane in the atmosphere. Now, watch what happens without flight assist. Notice that it has a little text on the screen that says alert, flight assist disabled. And that will always show when flight assist is disabled, even if you always want it to be disabled. Sadly, you have to put up with the text always being there. Now watch what happens when I go forward. It's going forward and everything's fine so far, but now if I stop thrusting, oh wow, that's different. I'm still going forward for some reason. Let's turn my ship so it's facing that other direction. Oh look, I'm still going the same direction that I was going. Now I'm going backwards. What's going on? So flight assist off literally means that the computer is just letting space be space. And it can be very unintuitive until you learn it. And it takes a little while to learn it, trust me. It is not like flying in the atmosphere. It is not like flying a real plane. It's really, really cool, but it's very different. And you have to pay attention to really different things to fly in flight assist off. Because you might get flustered, like, why is my ship not behaving? Why is it not going the direction I want? Well, it's because of something called your vector. And I'm going to try to explain what vector is. So let's come to a stop real quick here, if I can. Coming to a stop is difficult in flight assist off. It's quite difficult. There we go. Okay. There is a stop engines button, and the computer will try to bring you to a stop generally, but there's sometimes it doesn't work right. So a vector is a combination of two things. It's a direction and it's a speed. So unlike, when you think of 3D space, you think of your X, Y, and Z coordinates in 3D space. But a vector is all about your motion. So if this point here is you, and you're going that direction at 100 meters per second, that's your vector. Now, when you make adjustments to your speed using your flight controls with flight assistance off, what you're doing is you're applying force to your vector to change the vector to some other vector, which means you're going to change the velocity of your ship and the direction of your motion. In space, it's very important to remember that the direction that your ship is facing is not the same as your vector. So you could be facing this way, but your vector is that way at 100 meters per second, and you're going to be moving that way. It's going to look like you're moving sideways. And then you can change if you line your ship up to where you're facing the direction of your vector, it will look normal and it'll feel correct to your intuitive side. But if you then move your ship, you can change the orientation of your ship like this. Like, let me just do that one more time. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a vector going. I'm going 78 meters per second in that direction. No matter what I do with my heading is the direction you're looking. The vector is the same. I'm still headed right over this part of the station here, and I'm not going to hit it. Even if I go like this, I'm not going to hit it. Look, whee, I hit it. Why did I hit it? Because I misjudged my vector. Here, let's try this again. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim for a near miss right beneath that little bridge. Okay, so we'll hit the vector, and then I'll stop thrusting. Now watch what happens when I change which direction I'm looking. Whoa! That's a near miss, right? Because I lined my vector up in advance, and it doesn't matter what you do with the direction that you're pointing your ship, you're heading, you're still going to be going in the same direction. It's not affected by it because it's space. Now, in X4, fortunately, we have a really, really handy gauge to judge our vector. If you want to know your vector, which direction you're heading and how fast, we have these tiny little lights. They look like pieces of dust going by. You can see them zipping by, and those all come from your vector. So right now they're coming from the center, but if I point my ship that direction, notice that you can kind of see these little white tracers that are just kind of coming from right about here on the screen where I'm circling. So this is my vector. Now, if I strafing left, all of a sudden my vector is coming from over here. If I strafe left further, even though I haven't moved to which direction I'm facing, all of a sudden my vector is over here. Now, that is super handy because you need to be able to judge which direction you're traveling in flight assist off mode. It's super important. So now, if I'm facing sideways, look at all those things flying by my screen. I am definitely not lined up with my vector. Now, one of the cool things you can do in X4 is you can flip flight assist on and off with a touch of a button. Watch what happens when I turn it on. Oh, all of a sudden, everything is fine. And I'm, once again, traveling in the direction that I'm heading or that I'm facing. So this is a really, really neat trick because you can turn flight assistance on and off very quickly, and your computer on your ship will adjust to let you do some very neat flying maneuvers. Let me demonstrate that. So let's say we're going forward.
Awaiting orders.
And I turn flight assist off. Now I'm going sideways. I turn it on and off again, real quick. What did it do? It's off still, but it changed my vector to be closer to the place that I'm looking, the direction, my heading. And that's super handy, especially when you're going fast, like extra fast. How do I, all right, so for this reason, I don't recommend that you always use flight assist off. You can. You never have to use flight assist off mode ever, for that matter. But I recommend learning how to fly without flight assist so that you can switch it on and off when you need to. And because a combination of it being on and off is super useful to being able to fly around stuff. Let's just do some maneuvers around here. So it's on, it's off. If you ever have it flight assist off and you feel like you're losing control, you're losing your sense of your vector, just turn flight assist on for at least just a couple of seconds to let it realign with your heading, and then you can turn it off again and carry on. That's very, very handy because sometimes it's just super easy to get lost. Like right now I'm going super fast in a direction that I'm not familiar with, and what if I want to go this way? Well, if I want to go that way right away, I just turn flight assist on for just a little bit, turn it back off again, and I'm fine. Or if you want to come to a quick stop, turn flight assist on and then just reduce your throttle to nothing, and you'll stop right away. So that's handy as well. Now boosting, you'll notice my shield goes down slightly when I'm boosting. Now boosting is really cool because it lets you suddenly go very, very fast, and you'll notice that really quick I'm going over 2,000 meters per second, which is like about 5 times faster than my top speed, roughly. Now, and boosting, depending on the kind of engine you're using, it can be really, really handy to make good use of your boosting while you're flying around, because it just helps you get to, not just get where you're going faster, but to align yourself up more neatly. Now, a really neat trick is to use boost while flight assist is off. Like, I'll show you what that looks like. So, oh, here I thought that was black space, my mistake. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm using boost to kind of get my ship really moving fast in one direction. Oh, you know what? My shields haven't recharged yet. That's what's wrong. Let's let my shields just recharge just for a tiny bit, because I boosted too much. There they come. All right, so if flight assist is off and I boost, notice I'm going super fast now, and I'm turning, and that vector is just booking it the other direction. Now, this is a neat trick because you can actually circle strafe. You'll notice that I'm circle strafing my entire station by going sideways according to my vector. And I'm going to collide with this, aren't I? All circle strafing is you're going sideways constantly, but then you're giving it a specific amount of forward thrust, which changes, it moves your vector. My vector is that way, off to my left. And now because I'm facing sideways, I'm adjusting the vector along so that it kind of circles around the station. Now, something else that's really, really cool is you can do this while in travel mode. So let's try that. And travel mode doesn't use up your shields, which is nice. When you're in travel mode, first I have to explain what travel mode is. Let's come to a stop real quick. All right. So travel mode is, it's the FTL of this universe. So you're going super fast. You're going, well, it's not FTL. What am I thinking? There is no FTL. But it's very fast. It's a good 10 to 15 times faster than your top speed, your conventional top speed. And it doesn't use up any of your shields. What's the disadvantage? Why not always be in travel mode? Well, the travel mode, the reason, the limitation, the balancing factor of travel mode is that if you get hit, if you take a weapons fire, even one hit on your ship, it will knock you out of travel mode, and you'll be out of travel mode for a few seconds. Not very long, but if you're getting constantly hit, you're not going to go into travel mode again until you can stop getting hit by weapons, which means that you're in a fight and you need to either distance yourself from the guy who's hitting you and then go back into travel mode, or destroy the attacking ship, and then you can go back into travel mode. So that's a really, really neat way that X4 has allowed for a full range of speeds. So let me go into travel mode really quick, and I'll just show you that. So look at my speed. It's already 4, 5, pushing 6,000 meters per second. Not quite. And look at my vector. Now watch what happens when I turn travel mode off. Suddenly I'm going back to my normal speed. So I've traveled a ways from my HQ, my station, and if I was to click on it, that's weird. I must be so far from it that I can't actually select it.
Headquarters.
There it is. So you can see that it's 50 kilometers away. That's a long distance, right? So let's go back into travel mode one more time. Notice the stars streaking by. They're not stars. Those are the streaks going by. They go by really, really noticeably. And what that does in travel mode is it makes it really obvious where your vector is, because one of the neat tricks you're going to want to learn is how to turn flight assist off while you're in travel mode, because that lets you do some fantastic maneuvers. So let me demonstrate that here. So we're going fast. Now, flight assist is off. Notice that I am still going fast in the other direction. If I face my reverse vector, you can see I'm still going 4,600 meters per second in reverse. And notice also that it's ticking down very slowly. It's going to take a really long time for this number to hit 0. So when you're in flight assist off in travel mode, you're coasting. You're coasting at a really high speed. So let me turn flight assist back on now and watch what happens. Very, very rapidly, I'm going the opposite direction that I was going at my top speed and climbing. Okay, so here we are, 59.26. 59.26 must be my top speed, 59.27. So turn flight assist off. Don't touch anything else. Flight assist off. Notice it's going 59.15, 59.12, 5900. And then when I turn flight assist off, it just climbs back up again. So the trick is you can turn and face whichever direction you want, then you turn flight assist on again, and it will kick in travel mode and you'll accelerate to your top speed. When you're turning flight assist off, you're coasting. You're still in travel mode, but you're coasting and you're not accelerating. You're not picking up speed. But you can change your heading like this. Now, if I keep flight assist on and I'm accelerating, this is as fast as I can turn. I'm turning, I got the stick pinned. It's really, really sluggish. Your steering, that's one of the compromises of flight assist mode, is that your steering is really, really sluggish. It's even more pronounced on larger ships. This is a nimble fighter, and you can see that this is as fast as I can turn. I mean, look at this gigantic circle I'm making. So, what to do? Well, flight assist off. Ooh, wow! Now I can really move. I can change my direction. Easy. There's no restrictions on it. But I'm not changing my vector. I can see my vector. My vector is it's right there. It's right there. You can see it. So turn flight assist on again, and it will very quickly move my vector to the center of my reticle. You see how fast that vector moved? Now watch this. Now notice the vector is very quickly moving to the center. What does this allow you to do? It allows you to basically drift into jump gates and other maneuvering positions. It's important, especially in a large ship, a large unmaneuverable ship, that you be able to manipulate your vector how you want to. Because if you're in a big ship, it's very, very sluggish, very sluggish. And if you want to move a ship through a jump gate that's far away, you want to be able to get that aimed up. And well, let's just say that the gate is facing a different direction than you are. You want to be able to align correctly, turn flight assist on, and that vector will line right up. And then you go straight through the gate at the right angle, and off you go. Now, the reason why you want to do this at all is generally because the big ships, their travel mode takes a while to charge up. You know, we're talking like 10 seconds or more. Let me show you, but just look at this. What I'm doing here, I'm actually circle strafing my station in travel mode simply by turning turning flight assist on and off. You got to kind of keep track of what the effect of each is, but just realize that when it's on, you're thrusting, and when it's off, you're steering. So it's really, really neat to be able to get around. Like, let's say I want to go through, like, make a close pass to this big ship here, and then I want to turn around and then do it again. Do it again. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, obviously, if you're fighting it, you want to be able to... Turns out that you can use your weapons well in travel mode. So if I want to shoot at this ship, which I'm not actually going to, but if I wanted to, be like something like that, you know? So it's really, really neat because you make yourself very, very hard to hit while still being able to shoot. Now, you're going to miss a lot, but yeah, that's how it works. So let's show you what a big ship is like. Then I'll show you that why it's that drifting technique I was mentioning.
Docking queued.
What?
Sin. Docking granted.
check this real quick. Oh, look, a K. Big deal. This is my station in Hit Tikva's Choice 1. It's a defense platform, and it's pretty much holding the line there. No worries. All right, I'm going to land. I'm going to land this little fighter right here.
Successfully docked.
So let's see. All right, everything I said before still applies. It's just more sluggish. Where's my Maria going? One moment. One thing you have to remember in this game is that all your ships have orders. And if they still, you can take command of your ship that has other orders, and as soon as you relinquish command of the ship, those orders go back in force, and your pilot that's now flying that ship will execute those orders. So here we are. We're in the Sin, spelled SYN to be cool, I guess. And you notice that I still have yaw, I still have pitch, I still have roll, I still have strafe, I still have throttle. Everything's the same. It's just a lot bigger and a lot slower. Now, let's just say that I want to go to Grand Exchange 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set my... let's go to Black Hole Sun. I'll set my guidance here. So now notice that I have the orange arrow telling me to fly to Black Hole Sun. And what you can do right away is you can charge up your travel drive while you're turning, because it takes a while to charge up. And then you get yourself lined up. So you get your reticle lined because your ship is going to go towards your reticle. It's there now. We have travel mode. I have pretty good Terran engines on this ship, which is why it charged up as fast as it did. Other ships, not so much. One of the things that you can do is you can turn your HUD off, and you can kind of use that to judge your angle. Now I'm going to turn flight assist off temporarily, re-engage it to change my vector. So now I'm flying in a different direction. Then I'm going to realign with the superhighway. I'm going to turn flight assist back on to get my vector back in order. Fix it a little bit more, make some last minute corrections, and hopefully drift right through just like that. That's how you do it, but it takes some practice.
Entering Grand Exchange 3.
So notice that I can, with flight assist off, I can move even this large destroyer around fairly maneuverably, and the vector stays constant. That's always in that position. It's always, the streaks are coming from here. That's the direction I'm heading or traveling. So if I say, as soon as I turn flight assist on again, the vector will move. Oh, you know what? Excuse me. Flight assist or travel mode disengaged. So now we have to wait for it to charge again. If you're wanting to do this without stopping or coming to a near stop, you want to do it without disengaging travel mode. And let's just demonstrate what that looks like with this Talati trading station up ahead here. So I'm going, you can see my vector. Now I'm moving my ship's heading to right about here, turn travel mode back on again, and see my vector just kind of creeping over. Now it's starting to, the vector wants to line up with my, my reticle where the ship is pointing. Now, steering this beast while travel mode is on is super slow. But if you really want to aim, let's say if I want to get through that gate now, here's what I do. Oh, I don't think I can do it. Oh, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? As long as I get that vector correct, bam, I'm through the gate.
Entering system. Black hole sun.
So what I've been doing is I'm deliberately turning flight assist on and off to control the position in space of my vector. You know, it's important to know that your vector will not move if flight assist is disabled, if it's off, but you can steer. So you have to alternate between steering and changing your vector. Steering, changing your vector. You have to make corrections to each. It's even with the big destroyer, you notice I'm kind of circle strafing this giant gate here. Yeah. Your vector is a bit sluggish to realign with your ship when you have flight assist on. Let me see if I can get through the gate without stopping. So I'm accelerating. Oh, there's another thing you need to know, and this is really important with the big ships. When you turn flight assist off, you can steer easily. But if you turn flight assist on while you're steering, like this, you're still going to be steering. And even no matter what I do with the stick now, it's like, oh, slow down, slow down. You might feel like you've lost control of your ship because you've turned flight assist on and you got travel mode going on a big ship. And that makes your steering not only sluggish, but it's sluggish to stop. So, and you can use that to your advantage. Like right now, it's changing my vector while I'm steering. But as soon as I go disabled, I have full control over my steering, but the vector's constant. So let's see if I can nail this. I'm going to move my vector down. No, I'm going to move it down a bit more. Going to move it down a bit more. As soon as it's coming, right now it's lined up with the gate. I don't have to do anything else. No matter which direction I'm looking, I'm going to coast right through that gate.
Entering system. Grand exchange.
Now, there should be a gate up ahead. What I'll do is I'll just check the map real quick. Oh yeah, this is superhighway. So let's go back home. So there's the superhighway down here. So I want to steer towards it, and I want to let go of the stick till it stops. And now I want to engage flight assist, and that moves my vector towards the superhighway. I want to turn the HUD off so I can see right, because that thing is hard to see. So it looks like I'm pretty well lined up. See, that little HUD icon can get in the way of seeing the angle of the superhighways sometimes, especially accelerators. Those are a pain. But everything's lined up perfectly now. And I don't notice I haven't turned travel mode off since Black Hole Sun. So you can just carry on going sector to sector to sector in travel mode, even in a destroyer, very quickly. Whereas if you let your pilots do it and you just say, fly here, it's going to take them like ages. It's just going to be ridiculous. Because AI pilots are dumb. They have an IQ of about 50.
Entering Grand Exchange 1.
Let's see if I can find my HQ. Oh, there it is. Now, for some reason, see, it happens where travel mode will turn itself off. It seems, I don't know, I didn't tell it to turn off, but it turned itself off. So now I have to wait for it to charge up again. But, you know, I mean, flying big ships around can be fun, especially once you know all the tricks. Now, um, naturally, you can do the same fighting technique with the destroyers. So let's say turn flight assist off, and you go. You know, you can just strafe the target with your main guns or something while you're flying by it. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. It's just you have to decide what techniques you want to use. There we are. I wouldn't recommend flying a destroyer around in flight assist off without travel mode because it works the same way again, but it's really sluggish. Once you get a vector started, I got boost mode here. Let's just get it up to 100 meters per second. You can still do it, but there's very little point. I think I'm going to show you how to dock. Let's do a docking. So I'm going to select my station.
Headquarters. Docking
And dock.
granted.
Now, docking a large ship is different than docking a small ship. It looks it's similar in a lot of respects, but notice that it's kind of telling me where to go. Now that is a good few kilometers away. So what you can either fly there normally, or if you're impatient, you can turn on. If you think you can get there faster with travel mode, then you're certainly welcome to engage travel mode, which I'm going to do here. Let's just show you how that works. There's a couple of tricks that can make docking large ships easier. Now, I have a docking computer Mark II on this thing, which I would recommend putting on all your capital ships, which basically means all I have to do is put my ship in the position of that hologram and it'll just dock itself. But let's just say you happen to have a capital ship that didn't have a docking computer in it. What do you do? I would recommend going into external view and zooming out a bit and angling it a bit, like straight down. So all of a sudden you have this. You can strafe. You can yaw your ship like this, get it all lined up and nice. And then you can look at it from the side. See, my roll is off. Oops. My pitch is off. And my vertical strafe is way off. Oh, look at that. Now you can see that it's kind of caught the ship, and now it's bringing it in. And that's the distance. All the docking computer does is it increases the distance that happens. If you don't have any docking computer, you have to get it really, really accurate, and then it catches it. If you have a docking computer Mark I, you have to get it somewhat accurate, and then it catches it.
Docked.
If you have a Mark II, you can get it in the general vicinity, and it will catch it just fine.
It's an honor to have you aboard.
So here we are docked with the station, and I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show you this go round. If there's more to show, maybe I'll make another video. We'll see. Anyways, have a good day.